The Dershow.
Iran have a bomb? Because if Iran gets a bomb, the Saudis are going to want to get a bomb, and others are going to want to get bombs. And so Qatar doesn't want to see Iran get a bomb, but it also doesn't want to see Israel attack Iran. So this is one of the most complicated international scenarios that I've ever seen in my 86 years, or at least 75 years of sentient concern for the world. I mean, this is comparable to the decision, the wrong decision made by France and England in 1935 not to attack Nazi Germany, which was violating the Versailles Treaty and building up an army that ultimately killed 50 million people. So, this is such a difficult decision. And the personalities are so different. This is not Chamberlain. This is not Netanyahu. Chamberlain, peace in our time. No, there wasn't peace. It was war. Hitler, I don't ever want to make comparisons between Hitler and anybody else, but the mullahs of Iran are as genocidal in their beliefs as were the Nazis in some ways. Not in carrying it out, but in their beliefs. If they had their way, if they could kill every Jew and every Israeli, they would, without any hesitation, and they would believe that they were promised eternity for doing that. But the personalities are different, the time is different, the weapons are different. Nuclear weapons are very different. Of course, Germany came very close to developing nuclear weapons. By the way, Germany would have developed nuclear weapons before the United States had they not gone after the Jews. Had they not gone after the Jews, many of the scientists that helped to develop nuclear weapons would have stayed in Germany and would have developed a nuclear bomb for Germany. But these scientists left and became part of the Manhattan Project and helped the United States develop an atomic bomb first. But Germany had all the knowledge and all the physicists, not all of them, but almost all of them, that were essential to developing a nuclear bomb. They didn't have Oppenheimer. These were, again, Jews, Feynman, Oppenheimer, Klaus Fuchs, who became a spy ultimately, and all of them. But the physics was, as as Hitler called it, the Jewish science. He called it Jewish science in a negative way. The people who have won the Nobel Physics Prize think of it in a more positive way. So I make a lot of predictions, and my record has been pretty good. But I'm not going to venture a prediction on how this Iran thing is gonna turn out. As I say, it's the most difficult decision Israel probably has had to face so far in its 70 whatever years of existence. If it's true that the United States has or will send a message to Netanyahu, do not attack Iran, we are making a deal. And if Netanyahu decides they have to attack Iran, it will not be handled the way Begin handled it with Reagan and the way Omer handled it with Bush. Different personalities involved here. There won't be so easy forgiveness. So the stakes are much higher, and the personalities are much different, and I have a nightmare. My nightmare is that Bibi, my friend, who I've known since 1970, how many years that is? It's 55 years. My nightmare is Bibi calls me on the phone and says, Alan, what do I do? You know Trump, you know me, you know all the players. You're familiar. You've written a book on prevention. What do you think I should do? I don't know what advice I would give him. If I really thought that Israel's existence was at stake and that Iran was very close to developing a nuclear weapon which they could use, I would say you got to go in and destroy it and take your chances with Trump. If, on the other hand, the possibility of developing a bomb is reduced considerably by a deal, even if it's not a perfect deal, I think I would advise Netanyahu not to get into an irremediable conflict with Trump. And I suspect in the end what we're going to see. I'm not making a prediction because I value my score, my predictive score, but I'm going to give you my judgment. My judgment is that Trump will make a deal, that the Iranians will back down a little bit. They're not going to back down completely. They're not going to say no enrichment of centrifuges, and they'll cheat. We know that. They'll cheat. But that Trump will announce the deal, and he'll announce this is the greatest deal ever made, and we're going to now have good relations with Iran, and I've managed to do what no president has ever done before, and he'll have a basis for making those statements, and the Israelis will be very upset, as they were with the Obama deal. I know I wrote a book about it called The Case Against the Iran Deal, and I spoke to Netanyahu about it, and I spoke to various other Israeli officials about it, and I spoke to American officials about it. And the Israelis were very, very upset with the deal, but they didn't bomb Iran because they may not have had the capacity to do it. They have the capacity now because of what they've done to Hezbollah, what they've done to Hamas, what they've done to the Houthis, and what they've done to the Iranian defense, air defenses. So they're in a position to do it. But should they, will they? I just don't know. I think it depends on the nature of the deal. If the deal is not good enough but is pretty good, they probably won't attack. If, on the other hand, the deal is really not acceptable at all, they may. So already the Israeli press today and yesterday has headlines saying that Israel is preparing for an attack on the nuclear facilities, and that information comes from deep within Israeli intelligence and seems to be very credible. What we don't know is whether Israel is actually planning to attack Iran's nuclear facilities, or whether they simply want to send a message that they're about to attack in order to enhance the bargaining authority of the Americans who are trying to make a deal. We just don't know the answer to that question.